Hey, Chase, nice game tonight, 2 goals. Is it ever difficult to find motivation to play now that there's no playoffs or really not all that much to play for?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a difficult question. You want to love the game as much as you can, right? But the season ends on the 15th, regardless of whether or not we're in third, fourth, or last place in the division, right, or first, whatever. Some nights harder than others, obviously, but I think you get in your rhythm, you get in your routine, and you're always playing for your next contract anyway. So if you can't find it for playoffs or your team, you have to find it for yourself.
Chase, I know tough start for the game. I know you guys were getting outshot pretty well into the second period. It was, I think, 17-10 when they scored that goal to go up 2-0. Kind of to piggyback off of that last question, to get motivated right out of the gate, is that something that you guys have to continue to try to find ways to do, knowing, like we've already talked about, that you're pretty much playing for pride at this point?
Yeah, I mean, the last 3 games, as you guys have seen, our starts have been pretty crappy and slow. I think that's a big area for improvement for us. I mean, we have 7 games left, right? So we got to find it pretty quick. Obviously, we too little, too late. We battle in the third most nights, but at this level, it's not enough sometimes.
Yeah. So Chase, just a question for you, just as a bigger picture. What have you liked about your season here, your second full one in Grand Rapids, and what are you really going to try to key in on this summer to round out your game further?
Yeah, I think come back second year, you're a little more confident. You have a little more swagger, if you want to use that word. Obviously, the coach is a little bit better. Benny trusts me, so you get to play in more situations than I did last year. I have more of an opportunity, more of a role this year, which is nice for me personally.
Yeah. Great, thanks.
Sorry, I missed your last part.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think biggest thing for me is my skating. Keep getting explosive, and that's going to help my game. Working low in the corners, if I'm able to put on a couple pounds too and remain explosive, I think that's going to help me get to that next level, ultimately Detroit.
Great, thank you.
I know slow starts have kind of become the norm. I have to ask, how much do you think that ties into players knowing that there will be no postseason, knowing that they're pretty much playing for pride and playing for contracts at this point?
Well, did you see the first half of the year, Jamal?
Yep.
I wouldn't say slow starts are the norm at all. As of late, it's been a little bit sluggish.
True. That's what I meant. As of late,
I'm not going to let people say that we've got off to slow starts all year long. That has not been the normal. The last few games, it has been a little bit more prevalent. It's a mentality. Like, you got to be ready to play. And I think the last 4 or 5 games, we haven't been engaged off the bat for whatever reason. We've talked about playing for jobs. We've talked about playing for pride, playing for each other. And we talked about taking a little bit of time today to take a moment to reflect when, even if there is no Calder Cup playoffs, talking about, just think about how many times you've had a thing shoved up your nose to test. You couldn't see your family, your sisters, your brothers, your parents, because all the protocols, when you couldn't play, period. I mean, we still have the opportunity to play, and we're just not, we're not putting together 60 minutes right now.
Hey, Ben, how much more of a challenge is it to coach when your guys kind of know that, this is it, end of the line's coming up, and there isn't a cup to play for? I know you gave a couple of examples of things they've got to do, but for you, I mean, do you have to push buttons a little bit more, push a little harder?
Well, I think it's just making sure we try and get these guys engaged and staying engaged as much as possible. Like, I've played the game. I understand with the travel, how hard it's been traveling day of games, the limited number of fans and no fans in the building sometime, the fact that there is no playoffs, but good professionals show up every day. Good professionals do their job to the best of their ability and compete every night. So there's zero excuse for the lack of mentality of being ready to play.
Yes, Coach. I guess a flip side of that is, how do you keep players that are motivated but maybe would be prone towards going off a little bit onto their own page, playing for their own stats, looking out for their own interests rather than maybe playing within that team concept?
Well, the only thing we control is their ice time. So, when that does happen, it's, you have to hold them accountable. So that's something that we'll look at moving down the stretcher. We've got 7 more kicks at the can. So we're going to play and put together lineups that we think are going to give us the best chance to compete for each other and have have a group that we're proud of on a daily basis. But you know what? I'm not going to discount the fact how hard these guys have worked. I'm not going to let you guys sit there and discount how hard they've worked. Have we had a couple clunker games? Yes. But these guys have worked their tails off, and you know, we just didn't have a great game tonight, but let's focus on the positives. We were down 2-0. We came back. Our goalie played fantastic. We got through a shootout. We got to a shootout. We hadn't been through an overtime yet. But again, it was just too little too late. But, you know, for the most part of this season, our guys, this is one of the most competitive groups that we've had here. And they should be very proud of that, but it's no time to let off the gas. And that's what we keep trying to tell these guys.
You mentioned the shootout, and you're right. This is the first one of the season. I wanted to ask, you know, what do you think of the format, you know, and how do you think your guys did in the shootout, considering it was something they hadn't had the opportunity to do this year?
Well, we have shootouts or semblance of shootouts in practices or games or competitions. And in front of, it's different. Like you said, like there's no fans. So it's really not that much different than a practice, but it is a lot more pressure. You know, we went with the guys that we thought that we see in practice that have a history, and we look at numbers and sometimes, you know, that plays into our decision of who's going, or maybe it's who's playing well that night. Maybe you got a gut feeling, and sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But I mean, I think Matt Tompkins is a solid goalie. I think he did a good job.